Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 14th, and Mets fans can sleep easy because Bernie Madoff passed away today. So it's time to move on to a new chapter in Mets history. So
Let's
what's up,
hope that the
Tom?
curse is lifted, man. Not a whole lot, man. I am having a very long day. I had a politics class 8:30, and then I had a sports and culture class where basically all the only thing we covered is the newest issue in America for both classes, basically for the entirety. So I am very excited to just sit down and talk some sports here today.
Yeah, I can't even is that even how can they offer a politics class? Like, I feel like if you had a politics class, it has to be like the Democratic politics class or the Republican politics class.
Yeah, I have to say my professor does a very good job of making sure everyone's voices are at least heard. But he, like everyone, has his own personal biases towards one way or another. So it makes it a little more uncomfortable to sit through the class as he wants us to participate. But you
Yeah.
know damn well if you say something wrong, he's going to correct you.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. So, the other question I wanted to ask: have you seen Aaron Rodgers on Jeopardy at all?
Yeah,
Did
my
you see the
family's a
clip
big
from
Jeopardy one.
last night when the answer was the Green Bay Packers or
The Green
whatever?
Bay
I thought that.
Packers, and then the
Yeah,
next person, the next question, the guy got is like, "I see you know that one, huh?"
I honestly never thought Aaron Rodgers would be good in that role, but I don't hate it. He's
Yeah,
not
no, he's doing a
terrible.
really good job. He studied up.
I mean, hey, he found his future wife, and he might as well just retire from the NFL and host Jeopardy.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that too. I think he'd probably be okay with it too. He's like, I already won one Super Bowl. I'm done. Let's get into things. Obviously, there's a lot of news. Shockingly, mostly in the NFL. The Browns did sign Jadeveon Clowney this morning. He passed his physical, so we'll get into that. Aaron Donald apparently is being sued for assault, not sexual assault, assault. I don't know how Aaron Donald, if he assaulted someone, didn't kill them because he's like the strongest human alive. So,
True.
I mean, good restraint on his part. And I don't know. We'll talk about the NBA a little bit. I have something to talk about with they're doing the play-in playoffs this year. It's very weird.
Are they really?
Yeah, and we'll talk about it.
I don't like that. I'm gonna open the window.
Obviously, and then maybe go over some recruiting, but yeah, and then we'll finish, but dig back into Tom's article about one team or one move every team can make to get them to have a better roster or closer to a Super Bowl contender. But before we do that, today in sports history, unfortunately, nothing really happened in sports on this day ever. But in 1917, Chicago White Sox pitcher Ed Sicott no-hits the St. Louis Browns. And in 1925, the first regular season Chicago Cubs game was broadcast on WGN, which still hold the rights to the Cubs. That's crazy. Quinn Ryan called the game, and the Cubs beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's good. Also, did you also know what today? You know what happened today in 2016?
Today in 2016. No.
The disgusting, gross city of Golden State, the Warriors, Oakland, won their record 73rd win in the regular season. Now, I mean, that's a great team. They had Kevin Durant. How do you think they finished that season? With a championship, right? Of course.
I mean, one would assume.
No, they actually went up 3-1 in the finals and then lost to the Cavs, culminating in one of the greatest sports moments of my entire life. But
I think in everyone's life, I hate teams like that, like the
what?
Warriors,
Oh, yeah.
or the Patriots and the Yankees, just like dynasties because they like.
And Kevin Durant's a great player, but he's now become a guy that in my opinion, you could never look at the same level of like a LeBron or Michael Jordan, just because I mean
hurts his legacy.
He's been on like 5 different teams. So, and that's the other thing that's crazy about the Nets in the NBA this year. Like Kevin Durant hasn't played like in even half the games. Like Kyrie Irving's just randomly missing, and then James Harden is averaging like a triple double.
Yeah,
So
but he's
basically, just
also
feels like
missing games. Like literally, the three of them have been on the same court together for like, I kid you not, like 5-6 games.
yeah, it's very weird, and so we'll see how that works out in the playoffs. Because I do think it won't matter as much in the NBA. But whatever. So let's get into some news. Obviously, the Madoff Ponzi scheme, Bernie Madoff, who destroyed the Mets in '82, passed away this morning.
Good.
Yeah, I guess it was just a Ponzi scheme. I mean, the Mets are still paying. What's that guy's name?
Bobby Bonilla.
Yes, the Mets are still paying Bobby Bonilla. So when that one comes off the book, so maybe when that one comes off the books, then we can say the Mets are starting over as a franchise.
The contract extension that they gave Francisco Lindor will be over before they're done paying Bobby Bonilla.
Oh, I don't understand how that happens, or I just whatever.
It was in all honesty, I kid you not, I think it's the best deal in sports history. Because did you know that when they gave Bonilla that deal, they were only saving like $6 million, I think it was, maybe $10 million, but he turned that whatever he was supposed to get paid into like $40 million, $1 million a year. Never has to work again in his life. It's the best deal in sports.
Exactly. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, he could go coach if he wanted to. But I mean, just $1 million a year to sit around, like, oh my God, that'd be great.
Well, like I doubt Bobby Bonilla of all people is going out there and spending $1 million a year, so he's probably just banking up a lot of it.
Yeah, I wish I were his like grandkids or something. They're gonna get some bank. Yeah, that's what his grandparents. After he dies, his grandparents in his will, he's just gonna give. Hey, here's the $40 million I made from the Mets. Or maybe they'll transfer once he dies. They'll transfer his contract to his son or his grandson, and they will pay him until it's over.
I don't know if they. That's interesting. Because like, what if a player like that's currently playing dies? Like Roberto Clemente, didn't he die in like the Peace Corps or something, or like a plane crash or something? He died. Did they have to pay out the rest of the contract to the family?
I don't know. That's something we'll have to look into. Because I mean,
interesting.
I don't know. I was trying to think, but like, I mean, Sean Taylor was he retired when he got killed?
I don't
think he was retired either. So I
know Derek Thomas wasn't for the Chiefs.
Honestly, we're just gonna move on from this section because all we're talking about is dead guys and
where the money goes.
That. Yeah. So also in the MLB, I don't know if you saw it. I think it was 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago. The Indians were playing one of the Central teams, and it was in extra innings. And the Indians' first baseman, his last name's Chang, he made an error. He threw it to second base, fielded the ground, and threw it to second, hit the runner. The guy ended up scoring. So he lost them the game basically. But he released like a picture of all of his like direct messages and things that people were saying. And I mean, and I know it's not as big of a deal as it would have been maybe 10 years ago because we've seen people literally hide behind their Twitter profiles and do that stuff. So, but I mean, it's just more proof that, I mean, this country is just exceedingly going nowhere.
Yeah. It's just running in circles at this point. So it's very unfortunate. My thoughts and prayers go out to him that hopefully he can come over this. But I mean, it's same issue, different day. Because this is exactly like the Jeremy Lin thing.
Yeah, and it's a little different, but I mean, when that Ohio State guy missed that shot in the NCAA tournament, he got death threats. It's like, you guys are taking it too far. Come on.
Yeah, it's a sport. It's a game.
Yeah. I always think it's so funny when like old, like, I don't know, like Ole Miss, people that went to Ole Miss, and like some recruit will decommit from them and they'll be like, oh, this guy sucks. It's like, dude,
we didn't want him anyway.
Like, why are you not only are you making fun of a 17-year-old, like, just live your life, man. But I don't know. I do see those people all the time. We'll move on to the NBA. Terrible news in Denver. Jamal Murray tore his ACL and is going to be out indefinitely. The Nuggets, like I said, I don't know much about the NBA. I know the Nuggets were one of the hottest teams.
Yep.
And they, going forward, they were one of the favorites to win. I got to say, without Jamal Murray, I don't see them having that.
Yeah. Well, and it really sucks for them because I know they traded away Gary Harris to the Magic in that deal for Aaron Gordon. He could play in a pinch. Like, he could have filled in, and you traded him away for another big. Basically, Michael Porter Jr.
But I actually agree with the way that the Jazz have built their roster.
But this isn't the Jazz. This is the Nuggets.
I know. I'm talking about the Nuggets. I mean, it seems like where the NBA is going to me is like everyone just going to be a Michael Porter Jr. from now on. Like, big, tall dude that's athletic and could score. And I mean, getting them trading for Aaron Gordon, I know it wasn't like one of the big blockbusters that everyone expected, but Aaron Gordon is so good at guarding like guys like Michael Porter Jr. and Brandon Ingram and those guys that are big, long, lengthy wings. So
he's the more defensive version with not as much scoring as Michael Porter Jr. And what's really good is they both can play the 3 or the 4. So whichever matchup is harder to cover, they'll just slot in Aaron Gordon. I understand the thought process behind it, but they sold out the entire bench to get him.
But it just does. I mean, the Nets gave up their entire bench to get all 3 of those guys too. But yeah, I know it's weird, and that sucks that they're not going to have him. Honestly, like I said, I don't watch so much of the NBA, but it would be if the Nuggets and like the Celtics are in the finals, or like the Nuggets and the Heat or something, I would probably watch a couple games. But other than that, yeah, no. And then Luka Doncic commented on this, I think 2 nights ago, and then Mark Cuban added on to it yesterday. Apparently, the NBA is doing the play-in to the playoffs this year. I guess the owners unanimously voted to do it this year, which makes what Mark Cuban said kind of dumb. But so I guess like the 7 through 10 seeds in each conference are going to play, and the winners get into the playoffs. It really makes no sense. Like, I don't know. What do you think about it?
I've always thought that the play-in playoffs for any sport have been dumb. The reason that you have the regular season is because you're playing into the playoffs. Having a play-in playoff just allows for a team that shouldn't be there to take up a spot for a team that should be there. And it leaves open the fact that a team that has an off night could be out of the playoffs. A play-in playoffs, you could see a team like, I don't know, who's a 10 seed right now that has no business being in the playoff?
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte, who doesn't have any of their players basically because they're all hurt except for Gordon Hayward. They could go and play, let's say, the Lakers, who also don't have LeBron or Davis, that hypothetically don't have him at that point in time. The Lakers could get bounced out for Charlotte, and the NBA loses because you just lost the LA market with LeBron James market in one fell swoop. It's so stupid on all like aspects of it, unless you're a team like Charlotte, where it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you also, I mean, I don't know. I don't like it, and especially this year, it seems incredibly dumb with the condensed schedule that they already have.
Yeah,
and I know they kind of tried to implement like part of the implementation of it was like it's going to kind of prevent tanking or something like that. And looking at this new proposal, I think you're just going to see worse tanking. I mean,
no one's going to want to play in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think you'll honestly now have like 10 teams in each conference that are like pretty good, and then the last 5 are going to have like a combined 6 wins because they need to be at the very bottom to have a chance. So I just don't I don't get it. And like what you said, Luka Doncic basically said the whole thing, same thing as you. He was like, we play the regular season to play into the playoffs. Like, I just don't understand it. That's what he said.
Yeah, it makes the regular season even less valuable than it already is.
Yeah, I agree. And like it's dumb, especially with the condensed schedule this year. And Like I don't see the point of it. But whatever. Some teams are going to benefit from it. I mean, I know the Suns got axed out. They'd used this kind of last year, I believe, in the bubble, and the Suns basically did what a 10 seed would dream of now, is like basically go undefeated in their last 8 games, and they still didn't make the playoffs. So yeah, I just think I just gonna see you're gonna see a stark difference in, like, it's not going to be like 3 tiers of teams in the NBA. It's going to be like 20 above average teams, and then like 10 are worse than like Duke, like basketball. So
Yeah,
like,
well,
it doesn't fix anything.
Another thing that you got to consider, a team like the Clippers, or I'll even take the Nets, since we already talked about them. They're going to be at such a better disadvantage because they have those stars that can go out there. But now the regular season means nothing. So if I'm the Mets GM right now, or if I'm Steve Nash, I'm not playing James Harden or Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving the rest of the season, because they're only playing 50 games or 52 games. And I guess that's not right, because they're at 54 right now. Then, let's say that they're playing 60 games. I think that might be what it is. I'm not playing them the last 8 games of the season, because they're already guaranteed to do the play-in, and they're going to be 100% healthy versus another team that almost died trying to get into the situation. It helps a team like that, or a team like the Clippers with Kawhi.
I don't know if I was talking to you about this on the last episode or not, but I might have been talking to someone else. It's incredible how the MLB and the NBA have tried to market themselves, and in doing so, they've made the product on the court or field worse, A, and B, it's still not getting, like, it's the population of people watching is not getting higher. And it just shows you the stark, like, the huge difference between the NFL and the other pro sports in America. And obviously we did talk about it, because you said, I mean, the NFL owns Sunday. It's trademarked as the NFL day, and that's hard to do. But it's just crazy how the commissioners of the MLB and the NBA don't look at Roger Goodell, who is an idiot and is a puppet for the owners, but how they don't look at him and take some of the NFL's ideas, implement them to their sports. So it's just crazy to me, and I don't know. That's all I got for the NBA.
Yeah, that's the last thing I want to say about the NBA. Like I said, I don't watch the NBA. I don't like it.
I mean, we could just do the rest of the show, and I could talk to you about how the Cavs won the greatest championship in the history of the world. But I have a feeling a lot of people don't want to listen to that. The only thing I have for really the NCAA, Ohio State is still holding strong with the #1 recruiting class. And the FCS, like I said, this weekend's huge. South Dakota State, North Dakota State could decide a top 4 seed, basically. So that's big this weekend. And then you got anything else dealing with college? I think we talked about Justin Fields having another pro day.
Yeah. Did you watch it at all, or did it go?
No, I didn't. I have no idea if it was on already. I thought it was going to be later.
I thought it was 2:00 maybe. So let me look.
I was watching the Clowney press conference, so
right.
I don't know if it was on. But yeah, so the FCS should be getting good, and also everyone who kind of wants to get maybe follow along on college baseball as the World Series comes. I did post an article on Back Sports today, kind of introducing everyone to college baseball and dumbing it down. So if you want to follow that, feel free. I'll be posting probably once a week about college baseball, the roundup and everything, because I do think the College World Series is one of the cooler events, and that sucks that it got canceled last year. So,
I agree. I'm gonna look forward to the articles that come out. I've always wanted to kind of get into college baseball. I don't know why, but like
it's crazy, man. Like, I think I've said to you, but like, I mean, I was in South Carolina in 2012.
Right.
For their 2012 season, they had won the championships in 2011, 2010. And if LSU or Florida was in town for the weekend, I mean, you couldn't get within a mile of that stadium. And let's not even, I mean, the stadium is better than 99% of like minor league teams. It's better than that. So yeah, it's really cool. And then it's kind of like March Madness in the fact that I mean, it is possible for lower seeded teams to get in. I mean, I can't remember. It was like Stony Brook, I think, won it all like 5 years ago as like the last seed to get in. So it's just something cool to follow other than football and the NBA and MLB. So
Hey, that might be my new layover sport until the NFL starts kicking back up again. Who knows?
see, I like college baseball, but I always really look forward to Memorial Day weekend when they hold the lacrosse championship in Baltimore. Uh, I would never want to play lacrosse or like do it, but I like watching it. It's. I mean, those dudes are beasts. I mean, I wish lacrosse was bigger when I was younger because I'm like the perfect size for it. And but I could have never gotten into it. But yeah, so I look forward to that on Memorial Day weekend, and it kind of just welcomes the beginning of summer.
Have you ever tried lacrosse?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was like 16, they finally started a club league or a club team at my school, my high school, and I like went to their original like practices and got all the gear, and then I decided I was going to play baseball. And then I didn't decide to play baseball either, so I just played basketball and football year round. But yeah, I think lacrosse is exciting. So. But now we get into the real meat, as we've kind of talked about. We'll get into some NFL stuff, which will, like I said, take up most of our time in the coming weeks. I was going to ask you, Tom, what do you think about because it's going to be too complicated for me to get downtown and have like a feed downtown going like that. But on draft night, I wouldn't mind doing like this right here on the draft, and then when it happens, like we would just be Mel Kiper or Todd McShay and kind of talk about it. So if you're interested in that, or we could at least do the top 10 picks or something.
I was actually going to bring up to you after the show. I was considering doing something like that. I actually also this morning got on a little half-hour session with one of my buddies in a Facebook group. Shout out to Corey. We were just talking about the Jets and the 49ers pick. Because the other guy that we were with was 49ers fan, and Corey's a Broncos fan. So we hopped on, and he was telling me about doing a draft party where for the entire first round. So people are just on here and doing shots, talking football, having fun. But I'm also down to do just basically Mel Kiper because I have my other monitor here. I have Xfinity, so I can just watch the draft.
Absolutely. So definitely keep your eyes open for that. I think that's going to be really cool. I don't think I don't think you were on the call last night. I got invited to the call last night about just some stuff on the site, and I kind of mentioned that. So I think just look for something like that in the future. And I believe we're also going to do either probably next. I guess it'll have to be next week, or it could be the week before the week of the draft. But we are going to do our own little mock draft and definitely get fully into it because, like I said, we don't want to watch the NBA and we don't want to watch Major League Baseball. So
I will do anything to not talk about either of those two. So if anyone has any ideas or wants to propose something for us not to talk about either of those, hit it up. I'm willing to do whatever.
I've told everyone at Back Sports, I was like, we are willing to be the guinea pigs for anything you do, but just come up with ideas and we'll do it. So
not basketball, not the MLB, anything else other than those two.
We don't like the NBA and baseball so much that I'm now covering college baseball and FCS football instead of two popular
major sports. Yeah.
Hell,
I'll even get into esports if they want to start doing that. We could start an esports episode for all I care.
I mean, let's be real.
Anything.
Soon enough, I am going to become a full-fledged cricket fan, and I'm going to learn how to play. And I'm very interested in it now. I still am not happy. So I don't know if we ever told this live, but on April Fool's Day, you sent me Tom sent me something about that they were doing like this.
Sleeper.
It's Sleeper app. It's like best for fantasy football, and he had sent me a screenshot saying that they were introducing the Indian Premier League into fantasy. And then so I went online and spent about 30 minutes researching and trying to start a league, only to go back to look at the tweet and realize it was all a damn joke. It's unbelievable. I was full-fledged into it. I was like, yeah, bro, we're going to get a league started. We're going for it. And then after I had like created my own league, which was only football because you can only create football, I figured like afterwards
there's other
you could edit.
sports. They
Yeah,
do
there's other
basketball
sports.
and everything too.
But they didn't have cricket. So, but like I said, I have found cricket fantasy leagues. So in the near future, you may be receiving some updates from me about my cricket, my tales down cricket in sports. So that was good.
I forgot about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean
That was so funny.
I was very, very into it. But the sad thing is, like, I just like I read these cricket clippings from Today in Sports History, and I just have no idea what they mean
any of it means.
all. It just sounds cool.
It sounds funny.
That's honestly why we did the whatever the horse race was, just because the horse names were cool. I saw the horse names and they were cool. So, but now after the last, we'll head into the NFL, some more serious stuff. Aaron Donald, I'll let you fill us in on Aaron Donald. I didn't read much into it.
I've been in class and doing the other thing all day, so I only saw that headline.
Yeah, apparently Aaron Donald is being sued by a Pittsburgh guy for an assault that happened. Here, I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, I pulled it up here. Let's see. Surrounding after a Pittsburgh attorney said he was filing assault charges against Aaron Donald on behalf of his client. I'm not going to read the guy's name. The Rams were issued they issued the following statement saying that they are aware of the reports regarding Aaron Donald. They're collecting more information and will not comment. Typical answer for when something kind of breaks out.
Yeah.
Donald is accused of assaulting him in an after-hours club early Sunday morning, allegedly leaving him a concussion, a broken arm, and 16 stitches in his eye.
I see him. I think he's got a Washington State jersey on right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
I don't know. Yeah, so it does look like he's messed up. But, yeah, it says here it was in Pittsburgh. And honestly, with how good I am with, like, knowing where people went to college, Aaron Donald at Pittsburgh would have been my last guess. I completely forgot that he went to Pittsburgh.
I knew that.
I knew that one. You could have gotten me with that. I would not have said that. But yeah, it looks like. Well, first of all, I gotta say is a little bit less serious. Getting in a fight with Aaron Donald, that's just like
that's a dumb thing to do.
That's dummy. It's read the book, dumb. Wow, Life 101 for dummies. Like, don't attack the 6'3" guy that's built with steel. Like, let's not do that.
The man literally trains with knives to do pass rush moves. Where if he messes up, he gets cut.
Yeah, I just don't know why someone would be. I mean, even if Aaron Donald tried to fight you, I would just run away. It's like if someone would ask you like, how much would we have to pay you to like get in the boxing ring with Mike Tyson in his prime? It's like you wouldn't have to pay me anything because I wouldn't go in there because I would die. So, but obviously this is kind of serious, I guess.
Bleacher Report also just like literally just now, 34 seconds ago, put out their thing on it. And they have a new photo. It's from Andy Sheenan. The photo of the guy it's showing his stitches all in here, and it looks really bad. He also has a broken eye socket and a broken nose, apparently, along with the broken arm and the stitches.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds serious, and clearly Aaron Donald should not have done that. Whatever. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I don't think this will be as big of news as some of the other stories that we'll be going over, but definitely one to keep your eye on, I guess. I can't even think of like a precedent that's already been set in the NFL with like violent assaults. I can't.
I mean, Ray Rice got 4 games.
Well, no, but that was assault on a woman. I think this is different.
Yeah, and I was also going to bring up Adrian Peterson with his kid, which was an entire season. But again, that's different than this too. If it was like a fight, like if there was a reason Aaron Donald got that upset with someone, I guess it would be different as well. So yeah, you're right. I'm trying to think of something maybe that would relate to this, but nothing looks like this, and no one's done that amount of damage to the other person in a fight.
Adrian Peterson got suspended for a full year.
Yeah, he beat his kid with a switch.
I don't remember the story, but he didn't miss the whole season. The season was just kind of already underway, and then he missed the last games, I guess.
I know he played like 1 or 2 games, but then he was out the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's looking. It was in November, so they had played some games. But either way, yeah, I remember that. As always, we say on this, be careful with what you say about it. It can come back to haunt you, but obviously keep your eye on Aaron Donald, and hopefully that's not an issue that brings us into next year's football. Also, another thing, Deshaun Watson, there's nothing really new, I think, except for the fact that all the females that claim he assaulted them, they have to like actually show their faces. They can't hide behind Jane Doe anymore.
Yeah, they can't be anonymous. Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
And I know that 1 or 2 have dropped their charges since then, but I think 2 to 3 have attached their name to it now.
Yeah. So that's not good. I know I put it on the outline. I don't know why athletes, and the same thing goes with like actors and actresses and rock stars and whatever. Like this, I guess I don't know because I was young at the time, but like in the 70s and 80s and 90s, you could get kind of like, it was terrible, but this stuff got covered up. Like, I don't understand why the whole thing with Deshaun Watson, like that was obviously going to come out at some point. Like there are no more secrets in pro sports anymore. Like if it happened, it's going to come back to you. So I just don't know why any of them even bother with like anything like that. It just doesn't make sense.
I'm actually looking right now on NFL.com. One woman dropped a lawsuit against Deshaun Watson. 20 plaintiffs were identified. So that means 20 of them gave names.
Yeah, obviously we'll keep our eye on that. But the more and more this goes along, clearly he's not going anywhere this offseason. And B, I would not be surprised if we don't see him till at least halfway through the next season, if he's lucky, I think. So, but now to actually good news in the NFL, after all the waiting and on his 3rd visit in Cleveland in less than a calendar year, Clowney is signed with the Browns. I'm not thrilled about the $8 million guaranteed, but I'll be able to overlook it.
I do have would have had to pay for Bud Dupree.
I have sort of a hot take. So I was watching his press conference, and I know Clowney is like I know what his personality is. He's a different type of guy. But when John Johnson and Troy Hill and all those other guys signed, they seemed incredibly excited and super pumped. And when I was watching Clowney, he just really wasn't. So I'm a little bit down right now. But and it's finally happened. We all thought it was going to happen. But now, like, the realization hits that, yes, we've signed him, and yes, he will miss games this year. So it's just kind of hitting. Overall, I mean, it's a good signing. That's the 3rd former first-round pick, I believe, that Andrew Berry has signed. If he doesn't win, I guess if the Browns have a terrible season next year, then it's different. But if the Browns have a good season, Andrew Berry should win GM of the year. What he's done this offseason has been incredible. I think maybe the signing of the offseason might have been John Johnson, which I thought I was keyed into who they were going to go after from free agency. I was not at all. I actually remember one of the guys who writes on Flurry with me. He's a Rams guy, and he wrote an article like, so who should replace John Johnson? And this was before John Johnson went to the Browns. And I asked him, I was like, you really think he's going to leave? And then we'd stop talking about it. I pulled up our whatever that messaging system is, and I looked at that today, and I was like, well, he's on the Browns. So, yeah, I think that was I think that might end up being the best signing. But yeah, it's just hard right now to weigh how excited we want to get about Jadeveon Clowney. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for any group of people or fan base to get excited about a guy who, number one, is not going to play a full season. And more importantly, number two, you have no idea what his production is going to be. I mean, the guy barely stepped on the field last year before getting hurt for the season. And even before that, he was sort of hurt. So he hasn't played in a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, and you can look at it both ways and say, oh, he's fully rested, then he should be ready to go. And there's a reason he hasn't played. And there's a reason he's only played in one full season since he got drafted. I mean, that one full season was incredible, but you just aren't going to get that anymore out of him, I don't think. But yeah, other than that was a big signing for the Browns. Any other NFL news? It seems like this week like after March Madness, I expect the news cycle to like hit a lull. It seems like it's really hit a lull now.
I feel like I did see one thing that I forgot to bring up. I guess
Cordell Patterson is visiting the Falcons. I have something. I can't remember.
I remember what it was. James Conner yesterday signed with the Arizona Cardinals.
Whatever to the Arizona and whatever to the Steelers. This just scares me because I think that puts the Steelers in a market for running back in the draft, and Najee Harris could fall right into their laps, and that would suck. But other than that, yeah, I mean,
him or it's ETN, in all honesty, because both of them are supposed to go right around end of the first, beginning second.
Travis Etienne and Najee Harris aren't even comparable. Najee Harris is so much better than him.
I'm just saying from the mocks that I've seen that
I don't know why you like Travis Etienne so much. He disappeared for half the season.
I'm telling you what mock drafts say. I've done a lot of reading recently, and everyone's having them around there.
Well, Tom, this is why we have a podcast. Yeah, you can read all you want. You got to give some reasoning behind things.
I'm just providing. I like ETN personally because I think that he has a really good skill set that I think should transition to the NFL. Here, he can run, he can catch, and he can block.
Who would be your pro comparison to Etienne?
I mean, I don't have one readily available. I'd have to look at it a little bit more and come up with something. But
I think his ceiling is like when CJ Spiller had a good couple of years. I think that's his ceiling because I don't think he's going to get as open as he wants to be in the NFL on as a receiver. He's not going to get open as much as he was in college, and he's got a small frame. So
the people at 4for4.com are comparing him to Alvin Kamara.
No, he is. Why can I not think of his name? His last name is Brown. He played for the Patriots. Maybe not be Brown. Played for the Patriots.
There were a lot of Patriot running backs.
I think he plays for the Broncos as well.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Oh, God. I think okay.
Then the people at Pro Football Network compare him to Dalvin Cook. I don't agree with that one personally, but he's much more.
I actually think Dalvin Cook's a little bit overrated. So,
well, then there you go. Go with that.
well, it's also this. I mean, it's a good topic of conversation in the NFL today. Do you want? It's about preference, I guess. But do you want a guy like Nick Chubb or do you want a guy like Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah,
I'm asking
me
you.
Personally, if I had to choose just between the two, probably Nick Chubb, in my opinion.
See, I should love Nick Chubb so much, and I do. I would still much rather have a guy like Christian McCaffrey. But yeah, it just depends on preference, really. Also, I do have to say, I know it's scary to think of Travis Etienne and or Najee Harris at the Steelers. let's also remember the fact that the Steelers had by far the worst rushing attack last year in the NFL.
Part of it was because their starting running back was James Conner, and part of it was because their O-line sucked for the rushing aspect of it, at least.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh going into the 21 season is I think it's a big question mark for them, because I don't think you don't know what you're going to get out of Big Ben, and I mean, and they better pray to go. Well, actually, they did re-sign Juju Smith-Schuster, so that's not.
I think they really need to invest in offensive line. I'm not even looking at my thing that I have up just off the top of my head. Like, they need to invest in O-line, because I know that they're either old, they had people retire, or they don't have a lot of depth at it. So offensive line really needs to be one of the key points there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Pouncey, I think, retired.
Yep.
That's speaking of going out and going out with the whimper. Going out with the whimper. Basically the worst thing that ever happened to your career happened when you decided to retire. So, they definitely needed to do offensive line, which kind of, it transitions us back into Tom's article. So I don't have it up right now, so you're going to have to pull it up.
I have it right here. We left off with Cleveland, so that means that we're going to go down next to Dallas.
Dallas. Okay, what's the move that you said?
I
think this is a better idea. So you tell me what move you think you should do, and in my head, I'll think of. Right. I'll say I agree or don't agree. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Cool. So I got a little specific on this one because I think that they're going to be signing a difference maker in Quan Alexander if they decide to sign him. I know he's been.
What's that? James White. That's Travis Etienne.
Okay,
that's
James White.
Travis Etienne. Yes.
Yeah, but he's strictly a pass catcher.
I mean, you think Travis Etienne's going to be more than a pass catcher?
I think he could do a little bit of both. I'm not saying it's going to be great one way or another, but I think he could do a little bit of both.
I think the one spot, we'll get back to your article in a second. Travis Etienne will help some teams out. I think is a return game. I think he'll be good in the return game.
I agree that he should be good there too.
Like I said, I think he's going to be all right, but I think Najee Harris is like, I think Najee Harris
better. I'm not saying that.
Najee Harris, like, I'm scared to think about it because I think he could be better than Derrick Henry, and I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah, I'm not by any means trying to say Etienne's the number one. I'm simply saying that while Najee Harris is the definitive number one, light years ahead of everyone, he is the clear-cut number two and is the closest to that. And I still would value him as a first-round talent, but it has to be end of first round, whereas I would feel comfortable taking Najee Harris in the middle of the first round.
Yeah, Tom, you got to understand. Half the time we talk about this stuff, I just try to be the devil's advocate. Okay. So we have two different views. So, but no, like I said, I do think Etienne will have an interesting career. Like, I could see him having a career where he's like really good in his first 3 years, kind of like Reggie Bush. And then towards the end, like, kind of doesn't really fade out, but like kind of just, you could slowly see his stats go down over the years. Yeah. All right, fair enough. Back to your article.
Anyway,
because I run the Cowboys.
Yep. Cowboys signing Quan Alexander. Their defense was almost the worst in the league for the first half of the season, if it wasn't for Seattle having legitimately a historically bad defense. They were horrible, and things sort of turned around mid-season towards the end of season, but not really. They just started playing teams that were bad, whereas they played teams that were good in the beginning. Their defense is atrocious. I know they got hit with injuries. Losing Trayvon Diggs, I think he was their second-round pick, or was he their first-round pick?
Second-round pick.
Second-round pick.
They got a good deal on him.
Yeah, he's really good, and he was brought in to replace Byron Jones, and I think that he can do just that. But losing him for 6 to 8 weeks in the season really hurt them. But their linebacking core, for as big of names as they are, and for how much money that they make, they're not very good. I feel it's their weakest part of their defense. So getting a guy like Quan Alexander to come in to kind of play the opposite half to Leighton Vander Esch, because he can't seem to stay on the field that much either. Bringing both of them in to just kind of like fill out the linebacking core, I think it would be a very good kind of mesh.
So I've kind of done like a reroute on my draft thinking, and it's not just because Clowney signed. Because I started thinking about this last night. So for the Cowboys, I think they need to go. They're 12th, or are they 10th? 12th?
10.
10. I think well, are we make yeah. Wait, are we still? Are you drafting players too, or no?
Am I doing drafting players?
Like, is it? I can't remember. Is it an option to draft someone when you said the roster move?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think they need to take CB1, whoever it is, off the board, whoever it is, because they lost. Okay? You go ahead, but you know who they lost this offseason. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I do have in here taking Surtain or Fairley with 10 should be a priority, but the draft's further away than what they can sign right now in Quan Alexander. So while I do touch on the fact that there should be drafting corner one, I think that signing Quan Alexander today would be an instant boost.
He's still a free agent?
Yeah. At least I haven't seen him sign.
Yeah, he got released by the Saints. Okay, yeah, no, I like that. I think it's kind of like I relate to the NBA right now. Like, I think linebackers are becoming – you'd rather have an athlete at linebacker, like a Quan Alexander.
Exactly.
And going back to what I was saying about the linebackers, everyone seems to pick the Browns getting a new linebacker in the first round. I don't want them to take a linebacker. I don't want to take – we all know who I want them to take. But you have to think about it in the terms of how the Browns scheme is going to play out. With Clowney and Garrett, they're basically going to run a 4-2-5. They're going to run two linebackers, and then the majority of the time there's going to be Delpit, Johnson, and Harrison on the field as safeties. So I can't remember what I was looking at, but that completely changed my mind on the Browns drafting linebacker. But I think if the Cowboys could go out and get a guy like Quan Alexander, does he have like injury problems or something?
Yeah, so that's been his issue. Even with his San Francisco days, he has a pretty extensive history of injuries. He also might have gotten into trouble. I mix him up with a bunch of the guys like Alden Smith on San Francisco for some reason. I know he's the one that got into a lot of trouble now, but like I have an issue with guys that play the same position on the same team and remembering who got suspended for what. Okay. Well, but he does have an injury history.
Let's be real. He was also at LSU during the time that apparently bad things were going on. So there might be worse things that come out.
Exactly. So he has the injury history. He might have some other kind of problem, but I do know for a fact that his injury history is longer than you would expect for a guy his age.
Yeah, and I think if they signed him, you'd have to God, why am I don't know what I was going to say.
You would have to sign another guy to fill the games that he's not playing, but that's why I think Dallas is such a good spot for him, because they do have big name linebackers like Van Der Esch, and I forget who else they have, honestly, off the top of my head, but they do have guys that are good enough to start. But bringing him in, he would be an instant boost to that linebacking core. And when he's hurt, they have other guys on deck.
Yeah. If there's one thing that, well, clearly, because we now know Kyle Shanahan's offensive mind is stupid because he's trying to draft Mac Jones. But if anyone knows how to draft linebackers, it's the 49ers.
True.
I mean, what's the middle linebacker's name?
Patrick Willis.
No. The new one. They have a new one.
Nick Bosa is technically a D-end. They're a linebacker.
I can't think. I always draft him in Madden. No. Jake. No, that's not him either.
Fred Warner.
Yes, Fred Warner. So
I didn't even finish typing it in.
Yeah, it seems like that. I mean, they've had guys like Derek, whatever the name you just said. So I 100% would take any linebacker. They're like a group of like I'll always be lenient if someone's like if the Browns sign a Seattle Seahawks DB just because I know what they're doing, kind of in a way. But
same thing with the Ravens defense. Anyone that the Ravens draft defensively, I'm instantly a fan of bringing in. Yeah, they know how to groom defenders.
Yeah, there's certain coaches in the NFL for sure that are good at like just finding and picking and putting players at certain spots that work out. So I do agree that Quan Alexander would be a huge help because also, I mean, Jalen Smith seems to be injured every day too, which sucks. But
that was the other guy I was trying to think of with Van Der Esch. Thank you.
Yes. Because when I was looking up, I almost said Jaylen Brown when I was trying to say Fred Warner, but I didn't. But yeah, I think that's good. But I other than that, I think they really need to upgrade the secondary because you don't know how long Dak's knee is going to hold out. Like you got if you're the Cowboys, you got to say these next 2 or 3 years are our championship window.
Yeah, and having Trayvon Diggs paired with Surtain or whoever they decide to go with at 10 is going to be absolutely amazing. You can run man coverage, which opens up the defense a lot. But you've got to be able to have other guys on the defense to utilize while you're running these plays.
Yeah, and I think it's shown over how the NFL's progressed. Now where you don't have to have the star linebacker anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, Fred Warner and guys like Luke Kuechly are one of a kind. You always want to take those guys in your team. Yep. But I feel like most defensive schemes in the NFL now, linebackers are just kind of just fillers. They just fill in to stop the run. Like either you're a coverage guy or you fill in, and like Anthony Walker. Like both the Browns linebackers this year better be fill guys because I goddamn know they can't cover anyone. So
unless they draft one, who knows?
And then the only other thing I was going to say is yesterday I did like a full look like for 2 hours into the 3 corners, Farley, Horn, and Surtain. I think Surtain is clearly – I think he's a little bit on a level of his own.
Yep.
Surtain's the best. I think Farley is better than Horn, but I wouldn't trust his injury. And so I think all 3 of those corners, it would not be surprising to me if they went off the board 16 and before. Like I think 16 – like I think we talked about it on Tuesday, but if the Cardinals pass up on J.C. Horn at 16, the Browns need to be on the phones right now. So.
Before the Colts, they have a very small window to go get him because I truly think the Colts will not trade down and they will take that piece because they re-signed, I think it was Mackenzie Alexander, who's on the older side. They also signed who was it? The guy from the Vikings, I think, re-signed Xavier Rhodes. He's old, so they need someone to plug in, and their defense is really good on all levels. But getting a guy that's could potentially just slot one of them out once they're gone is invaluable to have. So I think they're going to grab him. So that gives the Browns from 17, 18, and 19 to move up.
Yeah. And like I said, I think all 3 corners are worthy of a top 15 pick. I think all 3 of them are physical, modern day NFL corners. You don't have like Denzel Ward's great, but he's always going to get out muscled by a guy like DK Metcalf.
True.
So, but yeah, I think it's their time now.
All right. With that being said, we're going to move on to Denver, the Broncos.
All right. We're going to take. I'm going to guess what your roster move is.
Okay.
Something with the receivers.
No, I actually think that their receiving core is really good because they have
Jerry Jeudy always just scares me though because I've seen him drop like wide open passes. But
you got to remember last season he was getting doubled because he was the one. With Cortland Sutton back this year, Tim Patrick stayed, Deshaun Hamilton, and Jerry Jeudy. I think they're pretty covered at receiver.
Well, they're all screwed anyways. I mean, Drew Lock's the one throwing to them, so.
Hence the reason their roster move is to bring in a veteran QB to compete with Drew Lock in camp.
Who is it? Who did you put?
So I just said bring in a veteran because they missed out on the free agency. I think you had brought this up to me on one of our shows. They couldn't go get a guy like Fitzpatrick because he would take the job away from Drew Lock in a heartbeat. Yes. So bringing in a guy to compete with Drew Lock is really the key. So,
I think. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
It would not have been a terrible idea if they tried to bring in Mitch Trubisky.
I agree. That was exactly who I wanted them to bring in. That's exactly what I was saying because either one could win the spot, but like that's a guy you bring in for competition. Him going to the Bills, you know exactly where he is on the depth chart. If you're Drew Lock and they say, hey, we're bringing in Mitch, whichever one of you wins camp, wins the job, that's going to get Drew Lock to play better and play up to his potential that I think he has personally.
Yeah. And
the fact that they waited so long and missed out on the opportunity for a bunch of guys in free agency makes this a lot harder because you're going to now have to trade for a veteran presence. And you might trade for him not even thinking he's going to start. And that just seems like a waste of capital. Yeah. But you have to do it because Locke is never going to play up unless he is in fear of losing his job.
Yeah. So you got to think about the quarterbacks out there they could get. I want to say Tyrod Taylor, but it's not him because I think he's like out of the league now. All right.
No, he just signed with the Texans this year. He would have been
another great signing by the Texans.
He would have been perfect again with Denver here to compete. I have them trading for either Carr or Mariota, whoever the Raiders are not ready for, or who don't want to move forward with. But trading in division is going to be rough, and they would never trade a quarterback in division. So potentially one of those two guys. I talked about Bridgewater, and I talked about Nick Foles because he's just not quite starting quality in my opinion, but he's quality enough to push Locke to the limit.
I agree, and I completely agree with this. I'm going to go a little bit off topic for a second.
Sure.
I don't know. I forgot what I was going to talk about again. God damn it! I keep forgetting it.
That's great.
Who am I thinking? I don't know. So yeah, you have him signing Bridgewater or like someone like that.
They're going to have to trade for him.
Oh, I remember. So I have kind of a hot take. I think Derrick Henry basically was the reason Marcus Mariota's his career hasn't taken off yet. Like if I'm someone looking for a quarterback, I would trade a 3rd round pick for Marcus Mariota because he has the skills. I think we've talked about this. I mean, first of all, the plug needs to be quick for Carr in Las Vegas. It should also be quick for John Gruden, but he still has $10 million, so it doesn't matter. But I would be all over Marcus Mariota. I think he's somewhere that if he finds a good fit, he'll be good.
Well, and you saw it with the game that Derek Carr went out. Mariota came out on Thursday Night Football with no expectation to start and threw for like 270 yards and 2 touchdowns with the Raiders O-line and the Raiders receivers. The guy has game, and he still was using his legs like he was in his rookie season. I mean, the guy is a very complete quarterback with a lot of different tools that come attached with him, and a good arm, good leg, and pretty smart decision making. Not the best, but not Drew Lock level decision making.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now on Pro Football Reference. I mean, he started in 2016, 2017. Yeah, it just almost kind of looks like that no one really gave him a chance. I mean, he does have interception numbers and things like that, but no one really gave him a chance.
You got to remember, he had the same thing that Sam Darnold had. He had like 4 or 5 different coordinators in his time with Tennessee, and no one ever built an offense around him.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, Vrabel came in, and as is his right, he was like, I'm the new coach, I want my own quarterback. But, I mean, this is a little bit far off of a comparison, but had somebody taken Mariota in, or if they still plan on doing it, they could. He could be almost as good as Lamar Jackson, I think. I think he has more arm talent than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, not nearly the rushing ability, even though it's still really good, not nearly the rushing ability, but a much better arm than Lamar Jackson. And like I said, a big thing with Mariota, and the thing that I'm kind of so high on him, is his decision-making. Lamar Jackson has the decision-making of, okay, if I do my first read and he's not open because all I have is Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews to throw to, if my first read isn't open, I'm going to run. And then if I see someone open, I'll throw, but I'm going to run anyway. That's not good decision-making for a quarterback. No,
and I'm looking at his first 2 years in Tennessee. He went 19-10 in his rookie year, so 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Yeah.
And then the year after, he went 26 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And then they must have switched coaches because then he went back down to 13 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. So that had to be a change of coach.
Yeah, no, they changed coaches or at least offensive coordinators every year he was there.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so, I like that though. All right, next one.
We're gonna go up to Detroit.
Okay.
Lions.
Okay. I'm thinking. Oh, they need a wide receiver because Galladay's gone and Goff has no one to throw to. Yes.
Yeah. Not only is Galladay gone, but Marvin Jones left for Jacksonville. Yeah. That should be pretty telling of how Detroit's going to do this season. I was looking at their roster, and I talk about it in this draft or in this little thing. Their wide receiver room as of right now is Tyrell Williams, Brashad Perriman, Quintez Cephas, and Geronimo Allison.
Yeah.
How is Jared Goff supposed to do anything? And you know who gets hurt the most by this? The only good receiving option that Goff has is TJ Hawkinson.
Great point. I was just about to bring him up because I was like, I feel bad for him, man. He's in the Lions haven't fixed it. He's in the same position that Calvin Johnson was in with Detroit as well, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna waste his young years, and he's gonna have record-breaking stats, but it won't matter.
Yeah, and the fact that Goff is the person that came in, Jared Goff has never had a good tight end by any means. Now, that could be looked at as one of two ways. One, his tight ends were not good enough for him to give the ball and feed the ball to. Or two, Goff just doesn't like throwing to tight ends and doesn't do it well. So therefore, their stats are bad and they're labeled bad. I think it's option number two because you look at last year when he was targeting Tyler Higbee, and Higbee's numbers were off the charts. Maybe not last year, the year before. Then this year, everyone has the super high expectation of him, and Goff just didn't throw to him ever, and his numbers sucked.
Yeah, one thing with Goff, the more that I kind of finally wrapped around my brain that he's in Detroit, that's a really good move for him because when does Jared Goff play worse? Cold weather. He's in a dome. He's in a dome now. So 8 of his games will be perfect conditions for him. I mean, obviously that's not the whole story, but that helps.
Yeah.
So what receivers did you have?
So I have their move as taking a wide receiver with the 7 pick. Because you look at who's available and who's left out of the wide receivers, and it's just an uninspiring group of guys. You could say, oh, go get Antonio Brown, but he's 30, 32. Then from there, Larry Fitzgerald is still technically a free agent, and everyone says he's second best. So there's not really a whole lot of options of free agency. So you look at where they sit at 7. They're in prime position to take either Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle. Jamar Chase probably isn't going to be falling that far because the Dolphins clearly traded back up to try and get him if the Bengals don't take him. But taking a wide receiver with that pick, I think, has to be the main focus for them going into the draft.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I gotta say, I'm a little bit out on Devonta Smith right now, just because I'm very scared about how small his frame is. He clearly put up numbers at Alabama. I mean, crazy numbers, but we've seen Alabama offensive players struggle. Look at Tua, and we talked about it. It's because he's waiting for guys to get wide open, Alabama wide open, which doesn't happen. But I do think Devonta Smith will end up being good, but his frame
has to be on the right team, in my opinion.
Yeah. I forgot.
I don't think Detroit's that team.
No. So I've seen. So I guess we can kind of close out with this. We're at an hour, so that's fine. Then we'll get back to yours next week. But where was I going? So I've been looking at mock drafts, and obviously you told us and you broke the news that not broke the news, but you explained it. The 49ers trading up to 3. And so when that happened that week, basically all mocks were Mac Jones at 3. I'm seeing more and more mocks now that are not holding on to Mac Jones at 3. I've seen them go Justin Fields in 2 or 3 mocks.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the Mac Jones hype was the fact that there was some reporter that said that's what they were doing. And there have been like some reports where they comment on Mac Jones or whatever, but everyone was just buying into the hype of those reports that they had given. I think people now are just kind of coming to their senses like, okay, we got to stop hyping up Mac Jones and talk about who they're really going to take.
I hope so. Like as I said, we've talked about Kyle Shanahan. I like him. He made Johnny Football for like 2 games actually watchable. So I give him credit for that. I can't believe anymore that it's Mac Jones. I won't believe it until his name is called. I won't believe it. So I don't know. All right. Well, let's do a couple more.
Yeah,
I got time.
I'm good.
I got time. Yeah, I got time.
I got a class at 3:50, so I figured we'd go for like another 20 minutes.
That's fine.
That's probably like 2 or 3 teams. So,
cool. Yeah.
Up next, after the Lions, we have the division rival Packers.
The easy thing is to say receivers. Well,
that's what I went with.
Yes, I think so. Because I was trying to think of the other things. It's got to be a receiver,
right? That's what I went with. But like, we all kind of know that the Packers aren't going to do that, but like, they really should. And this is a list of things they should do. So I went with getting a wide receiver to pair with Devontae Adams because they pick, I think, 30th. The guys that I really had in mind were Kadarius Toney and Rondale Moore. Even if Terrence Marshall was there, like they have to take somebody else. They can't just have Devontae Adams anymore.
I was talking. I don't know. I was talking to somebody, one of my friends, about the Browns and something, but I don't know. I forgot about that again. Yeah, I know. So sitting at 26 with the Browns, one of those receivers is going to fall to the Browns, and I think one of those receivers is going to fall to eventually the Packers because I don't think the Browns will take. I think a lot of the teams from like 24 to the Packers don't really need a receiver. So, I mean, they're going to get lucky and have Terrace Marshall fall to them, or Rashad Bateman.
I think he'll go. I've seen a lot of mocks that he goes to the Patriots at 15. I've seen a bunch that the Colts take him at 20.
These are all. I'm not high on Rashad Bateman, so these are all good places.
But yeah, Toney and Moore and Marshall are all guys that are going end of first, early second. Moore, I've seen in some slip to the third, which I just don't understand. But
no, he won't slip to the third, unless his physicals came back with like ongoing knee issues.
I think people are just scared off by his size, but like we've seen small receivers do amazing things in the league, so I'm not really scared by it.
There's only been one successful wide receiver since 2000 under 5'8".
But he's like
5'9". I asked you this. He's 5'7".
Is he really?
I think so. I asked you this a while ago. The only, I don't know how it was set up, but the only receiver under it was like 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", to that be successful, according to their terms, Cole Beasley.
Oh. Huh. It says here he's 5'9", so I'm going with the fact that he's 5'9".
Okay, so he's 5'7.5", about. I'm short. I know how the listing things work. Yeah, he's about 5'7.5". He's 5'8". He's 5'8" with his helmet. He's 5'8.5" with his helmet and cleats on.
Sure. Well, either way, Packers really need to get somebody else in there because Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem like he's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean that's
except to the Jeopardy booth.
From yeah, right. From Purdue to the Packers, not too far of a trip. Yeah, I agree with them taking a receiver. I also have seen a lot of mocks, and I don't think Kadarius Toney or whatever, however you say it, I don't think he lasts to them. I've seen a lot of the Bears getting him at 20.
I like him there too, but I was just under the assumption that the Colts have whatever pick. I don't know. I think I said Colts at 20. I think they have like 22. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, if the Colts take a receiver, I'm happy. That means that's another spot that a cornerback fell, or
Potentially.
worst case scenario, they're all off the board by like 13. So
Yeah.
I think this week I'll take a harder look, or maybe next week take a harder look at like Eric Stokes, some of the other corners, because
I don't
that's
hate Stokes personally.
Yeah, I'll look at him, but that's much more likely that we get a guy like that in the second round rather than the first. So.
Right. This next one will be nice and quick because they're never going to make the playoffs or the Super Bowl anytime soon. The Houston Texans. What's one move they could make to increase Super Bowl chances, you might ask?
Well, I mean, usually I would say cut Deshaun Watson, like cut your losses, but it doesn't make their roster better. So the roster move is just sign everybody that will sign in Houston.
Apparently that's what they're under the assumption of. They're like, hey, we could get David Johnson, Mark Ingram, and Philip Lindsay in the backfield. Why not?
No. Yeah, they're all gonna have they're all gonna have 300 total rushing yards together after week 2.
The move that I have here, I put for 2 different teams. There are only 2 teams that have a move like this. The Texans need to pray that blowing up their team fixes the problems, because there is nothing they can do as of right now to get people to come play there, or the fact that they're going to win. So as of right now, they're the NFL's worst team, in my opinion. Oh, or close to it. I have another team that I think might be a little worse. But they can't do anything right now other than pray that things kind of fix themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the roster move for them is continue the demolition. Just keep blowing it up. Blow it up until like it's the most blown up team ever, and then start over. So
exactly.
Yeah, the Texans and the Raiders are just these 2 teams that I just don't know what goes on in those front offices. Like, I don't think I'll ever get over the fact that Kenyon Drake signed with the Raiders. It's not even a big signing, and it drives me crazy. I don't know why, because it's just such a stupid signing.
Yeah, I don't even want to. I've talked enough about the Texans. That went on longer than I even expected.
I will say the Texans are becoming like the Browns of like 2007, 2010, where you get like 31-year-olds that sign like a 1-year prove it deal, and then they always suck. Like Dwayne Bowe was never activated for the Browns ever. But yeah, so hey, hopefully Texans in like 25 years, you might be competing for the playoffs again.
Hopefully. Who knows?
It's how long it took the Browns. So
another one where we're staying in division, we got the Colts.
Did you?
So
you probably, I mean, the corner's logical if the right one's on the board.
Right.
Like receiver's logical, I guess. T.Y. Hilton. I guess I don't know who they're. I offensive tackle.
So I have them taking Rashad Bateman.
Okay.
I think he would be a really good fit for the system and slotting into their starting 3. This was also under the assumption that I had written that 3 teams needed a corner above them in my article. So I figured that they'll all be gone, assuming that the Browns trade up like I talked about in the article. Yeah, but Rashad, the fact that Carson Wentz is coming in and they have a lot of what he didn't have with Philadelphia. You know, I kind of broke it down. The Colts have one of the best O-lines in the league. They have a young running back that just ran for 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns on top of his receiving numbers. And they have Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton, and Paris Campbell are their 3 weapons right now, receiving-wise. And they still have Eric Ebron. No, not Eric Ebron. Who was the tight end?
Jack
Doyle and Mo Alley Cox. You can't forget about Gigantor. So they have good receiving weapons. If you wanted to take out Paris Campbell or T.Y. Hilton retires next year or leaves legit this time next year and replace him with Rashad Bateman, I mean, you're giving Carson Wentz literally everything he didn't have in Philadelphia.
Hopefully. I mean,
Hopefully.
we don't know how good they do. Yeah. Obviously, if they do that, the effort will at least be there, so they can at least say to Carson Wentz when he sucks, like, "Hey, we tried to help you.
We did this for you, so now we're gonna trade you," or something
Yeah.
like that. But pairing Bateman and Pittman gives you a really solid dynamic duo that you're gonna have for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think Pittman will make a big year 2 leap this year. I hope he does because that would be really good for the Colts going forward.
Yeah.
I just don't know. It's weird with like a whole new quarterback to a whole new system. It's just going to be like if I was doing a fantasy draft for fantasy football, like I would want to wait till week 1 to see where Wentz's favorite targets are.
Yeah, that's why. Well, I'm sure if you're talking fantasy wise, Wentz will be going like round 9 or down because not because of the situation, but because you don't know how he's going to transition in. And then the last one we can just squeak in here because this is a glaring need. Kansas City
Offensive line.
They just need to replace the Pro Bowlers that they cut, and I break it down. I'm like, oh, you can draft someone. I don't know who's going to be there, but. I mean, I understand they signed Joe Thuney, I think is his name, right? Thuney?
Yeah. I thought it was Cooney, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's something like that. Joe Thuney. And they also got, who was it? Kyle Long, I think, out of retirement.
Yeah, out of retirement.
The line still sucks. You need to protect Mahomes, and that's really all you can really say about it. So we'll leave off on that if you're good with that.
You do need to protect Mahomes. I think it's going to be a very interesting year for the Chiefs, just because I don't know. Who are we talking about?
The Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, because it doesn't feel like people really kind of figured out the Chiefs last year, but it feels like they kind of got an edge, sort of. The blueprint is kind of there how to beat.
They got exposed is really what it was.
Yeah. I mean, they got exposed, and so I think it'll be an interesting year for them. I hope they don't make the playoffs or whatever. I would rather not. I would rather not face the Chiefs again in the playoffs, but if we have to, we will. All right, so that'll do it for us today. Make sure I don't have anything written down anywhere. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Like I said, we're going to try and get something together for the draft. I'm sure we will. We'll just see what it is when that comes along. And like I said, we'll probably do next week, maybe a week from so either next Wednesday or Thursday, we should maybe do that draft.
The mock?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can get guys like Ryan Stern, Jared, whoever's around to just come and fill in for their team so that we get some different opinions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get cracking on that, and that's about it. So, congratulations to the Mets, the guy who killed your franchise. It's almost ironic that Steve Cohen takes over, and now the other failure dies. So, I don't know. Yeah. Everyone, enjoy the nice weather if it comes. I think it's supposed to get down to 32 below freezing for us at some point, which sucks. I hate when it acts like it's spring and it's not. But that's it. We will see you guys next week. Tom, anything else?
Let's go Dogs, baby. Looking forward to it.